Hello, good afternoon. Welcome again to the Lovespoon Workshop. I'm just going to start off checking everything is working okay and then get straight into demonstrating some wood carving. That's fine, that's all working okay. Yeah, if you're joining us, thanks for joining us, and hopefully this will be interesting, hopefully it'll be useful. As you can see, this is the carving that we're going to be working on. Our main focus is going to be on this one here, the unicorn right in the centre of our spoon. So that's where we're going to start our process here. And I was thinking of sharing some ideas to different questions that we get asked. And again though, if you've got any questions, let us know and we'll try and help you out. Hello there, hello. I can't say long, I should get ahead. There we are, brilliant. Nice to have you with us, Tommy, and the wood burning warrior as well. And we got Yelly, my wife, she's joined us as well. So thank you all for joining us. Yeah, great to have you with us. So what I'm going to do, as I mentioned, I'm going to go through just some ideas to questions that we get asked quite often. Now, the first one, organisation, how we organise the work that we do. So in this example then, we've got the bells at the top. We've got the two hearts with the initials inside. We've got the unicorn, Welsh dragon, twist on the stem. There's different ways that you can organise what you do. Some people would carve top to bottom, some people carve bottom to top. Different projects, you might do different things, but also, who have we got there with us? Oh, just Tommy saying hello to everyone. Brilliant. Thanks, Tommy. And yeah, there's a different way then we organise the work that we're doing. So you can see I've gone straight into doing a carving that is in the middle. Why would I be doing a carving in the middle? Well, basically, the other carvings, including the dragon, whilst it's intricate, I do the dragon carving on a regular basis. The feature on this one that I don't do as often is the unicorn. So for me, it makes sense to start off with the carving, not that you are most concerned about, but the one that would be most, how can we put it, not challenging, but the one that makes me think a little bit more than the others. So at the start, that's when my concentration is at its best. You may notice in my live streams as they go on, we lose track a little bit on what we're doing and what we're saying, that sort of thing. So that's just the first little pointer that I put in across, is to think about how you organise the work that you do. For anyone then who is learning wood carving, the temptation can always be to start off with the things that you're confident in doing and that you can do with ease. And in certain situations, that's probably advisable, it's probably a good idea. But in other situations, you can end up spending a lot of time working on a project, make a mistake, and because you've left the more difficult thing to do until the end, you've spent all that time working on it and it's ended up being a bit of a waste of time. So just something, if you're a beginner and you're learning wood carving, just to think about is the organisation when you do particular carvings and how you go about it. Another question then, and another thing that people will talk about, is how many jobs to actually have you're working on at any particular given time. Again, be interesting to hear from yourselves how you approach this. Now, growing up, Dad always used to say that it's advisable to have anything up to 6, 8 jobs that you're working on at any given time. And I guess, again, this comes down to what suits us as individuals. Some may find that having several jobs on is a good way to go. Others may prefer to stick with one and see it through to its finish. But I've noticed on different forums and things like that, when people talk about that, they do say how they basically they're concerned about it, where they've got several jobs on at the same time, and they sort of worry that, is that wrong? Well, you know, Dad was trained as a carpenter and joiner, and he certainly would have approached it in that way. So if you do that and have several jobs on at any given time, good. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong in how you organise your work. We'll also then, for any beginners, go through the methods and the approach that we use. So you can see that we've got our woods. This one here, a piece of recycled oak that we're working in. This is clamped into our bench, into our vise, sorry. Our vise, then you'll notice, is lined with wood, so we don't bruise the edges. My particular one has an extra block, so I can get more square on to the work that I'm doing. So that's the idea behind what we're doing. Again, for any beginners, we start off marking the wood out, and we mark it with a vertical grain. So you mark it out with that vertical grain, and then that allows us to do most of our wood carving in the direction of the grain itself. So we start to do our stop cuts down into the wood, and what we're sort of trying to decide is which parts of the design are we going to bring out and which parts are we going to push back. So sometimes we get it right first time, other times we might have to have a couple of goes at it. Now we're working on the I think it's the main they refer to it as, isn't it? Oh, got another comment on there. Oh, just saying hello, no problem. So yeah, we're just working on the main of our unicorn. And this is the nice thing then with doing bespoke love spoons. It gives us the opportunity to include all sorts of different designs and ideas.
Afternoon, Dave.
Good afternoon. Thomas the Woodcarver's just joining us.
Afternoon, everyone.
I've just been talking about organisation of work. How do you go about it when you're doing a carving? What I was just explaining is, because the unicorn is the thing that I carve, what's the word, least frequently, because I carve that less than anything else, that is why I would carve it first.
Yeah, difficult bit first.
Yeah, so you would do the same.
Yeah. Difficult bit first.
Yeah.
Because if you mess that up,
then that's the end.
You haven't wasted your time.
That's right. And the other thing then is, that's, if I mess it up, that's the end of the live stream, and we'd be off to.
Well, no, it's not the end. You start again.
That's what I'm saying. We'd have to end the live stream there, but if we do mess it up, that's what I'm referring to is we'd be looking for another piece of wood, and it would be starting the process all over again. So you can just start to see we're just starting to work on those different layers. So that's what we're doing, is to give depth. And ourselves, because what we're demonstrating to you is very much, it's our day job, and we are looking to get the maximum effect out of the work that we're doing. So for instance, we get asked questions as well. Anyone who's sort of new to Lovespoon carving, one question they ask quite often, do you carve the back of the Lovespoon? And the answer to that is yes, we do. Just check there with... What did you say? Oh, Tommy's asking what he said the unicorn stands for. Now, this one, basically what it is, it was requested, somebody requested a Scottish unicorn. So, yeah, that's why we're doing it. What do we have a meaning for...
A Scottish one?
A Scottish unicorn. You can tell by the accent, apparently. No, it was somebody asked us for there's I think obviously one of the coats of arms, and we can joke with it because they did us a favour in the rugby. See, the Scots, right. Yeah. They helped us out there. Yeah, so one of the it's on something like a coat of arms or something like that. Yeah. but the meaning of it, yeah, you've got me there to a degree.
We'll find out now.
Dan's going to look this.
Yeah, we got a goggle.
He's going to have a check now. He's gonna do a Google search, see what's happening on that one there. We'll get back to you on that one, Tommy. We'll get back to you before the end of the live stream and let you know what interpretations we can put on it. So you can see what we're doing. We're doing all of those stop cuts, and that will allow us then to have a little bit of extra extra depth, and we're giving that shape as we're going along. And then we're deciding which pieces then we're going to drop back. So this is one that we've started working on. That's our back leg. The back, would it be the back hind leg? Hind leg? I'm confusing myself now. Yes, you said last week. Right. We had an interpretation. I'll probably end up having to consult my own website now to check on what interpretation we put on it. Yeah, so we've got, you can see, we're just dropping the depth. These are the two back legs. So we want to drop the depth of those down. And it's to very much sort of create, we're working in 2 dimensions, but we're trying then to give it more of a 3-dimensional feel by using the different layers of our carving. Now this particular oak, I will have to check with Dad where he got that one from. Excuse as well if you can hear a little bit of noise in the background today. They're doing work in the village here.
Unicorns are often described as symbols of freedom,
Yeah.
magic,
Right.
purity,
Yeah.
innocence, and healing.
And on our website, we've got a unicorn design. So Tommy was referring to it now. We had an interpretation that we had for the unicorn. So be interested to know what we've got on our website. You want to check it for us?
And the other thing, in the modern world, unicorns often also represent positivity, joy, hope, pride, and diversity.
I like it. Nice symbol.
Yeah.
So there we go. I think it is a nice symbol to include. But this one is a Scottish one, and you can tell from the accent apparently. So that's the. We don't know whether he's from Glasgow or Edinburgh or further north though. But it's a beautiful symbol, and somebody asked us.
It's on our website, is it?
To include, yeah, not this particular design, but we've got a unicorn design on there, so perhaps there'll be perhaps there'll be a little description.
I know, yeah, I don't know that it is, yeah.
For what we put on it, but there we are, some quite positive messages that we've got in the unicorn design. Now I'm going to work on the face just a little bit. So when we're doing the eye, because eyes can be a tricky thing to get right, and basically on a lot of the carvings we do, I keep it quite simple really. There's all sorts of different ways of doing the eye, but basically for this one here we use this, and anybody interested in tools, different tools, that sort of thing, that is a Sorby. It's a micro gouge. What's something to say? You might have said it was Scottish. Quite possibly. And yeah, this little micro gouge is a really nice one to work. It's a Sorby, really useful. Does all of our initialing, and if we're doing lowercase letters, that sort of thing, it's really good for that job. And then we have a really tiny one, this one here, and that is ideal then just for doing the pupil of the eye. So just cutting down like that, and that then those two together gives us the gives us the eye of our unicorn. So on to the front of the face. We just, again, do a little stop cut. I like to sort of shape around the top, similar to we do with the dragon. And again, we're just going to take a little bit of wood in and around just where that, just to give us a little bit of separation between the mane and the actual head of our unicorn. So it's just deciding which bits you want to actually bring down, which bits you want to drop down and which pieces you want to bring out. It's back to that whole thing of organisation. Not one of our fortes, the organisation.
You're pleased to know as well, I got through to the clock supplier.
Ah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Ah, and that's on everybody's recommendations. We finally managed to get hold of a clock supplier. This would be exciting stuff for us because it's been many years, very interesting actually, where we didn't have time, sort of pre-coronavirus, we were very busy with groups, that sort of thing, you know, coming into the workshop. And it meant that making things like clocks and barometers, something we'd always done up until about the last 10 years. I've changed my mind. Sorry, I'm talking to myself there. Right, I've now decided the mouth, we got it facing down. I think I prefer it facing the other way. So I've changed my mind on how I'm going to do the mouth.
Yeah, you want a happy unicorn.
We want a happy unicorn. I had a bit of a somber look to his face there, so I thought, no, we'd cheer him up a bit. And so all you do, there we go. You can see, you just carve that all back out, carve it a little bit further into the wood, and we just turn the gouge the other way, just to make our unicorn a little bit happier and a little bit more positive.
Shellac in down there, okay? Give me a shout if you need me.
No problem at all. There we are. Thomas Wood Carver is off there to shellac some more spoons. Yeah, it's going to be good fun for us. We're going to be making some clocks and barometers. We'll be showing some in different videos as well, the different methods that we use. And it's something in more recent times that we've struggled to get hold of good quality clock movements. So that is basically why we haven't been doing that. Just to help us out a little bit, I'm going to drop the two hearts that are just above the unicorn. I'm going to just drop a little bit of the depth down. Have you got something to show?
Yeah, I'm just going to push these in before.
Yeah, there we are.
That's the, what's that one called?
That's our cut.
That's our cut spoon. That's the oak one.
Our
before
cut Lovespoon.
It's been shellacked.
And that is our Hope Lovespoon.
Hope Lovespoon.
I think I actually demonstrated this on a live stream about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Oh, there we are.
So I demonstrated carving that one.
Okay.
And look at that though. Look at that grain. That's before it's been shellacked. Beautiful character and grain in that particular piece of wood. So yeah, it'd be good for everybody to see how that actually comes up. So yeah, I'm just going to do a little bit of work on getting some depth on our on the entwined hearts. It'll just allow me to clear that away from the unicorn, just give me a little bit more room to work in. And that's what you're doing, you know, sometimes. I always think in some ways it's a bit like doing a jigsaw and a puzzle, because when you take away one piece, it frees you up then to take away another piece of the design. So I just think that it all sort of has a certain flow of its own. So you can see, as much as possible, I'm trying to carve away from myself. And because we've got that vertical grain marked out, it makes the job a little bit easier. If you're interested then in making love spoons or in the processes that we use, to get it to this stage, there are a few different processes. So you start off selecting your woods. So in this case, we've selected a piece of oak. Where did we get the oak from, Dit? Just shouting him in the room there. He'll explain now where this... Is it a local piece? Is it a reclaimed piece? You know where this one came from?
Well, this piece here...
Yes.
That is from...
Did that come from Camrose?
Yes.
Yeah?
Camrose.
Ah, there we are. Well, this was bought last year. There was a timber store, isn't it? And we were struggling...
It's what I call...
we were struggling for... So it's a kiln-dried piece of oak. So it's seasoned wood, as we always work in, and it's been sourced locally.
I can say for certain it's European.
European oak. There we are. So that's where this one's coming, because of course we have the different ones. We have the American oak coming in as well, and that tends to be a little bit of a lighter colour. It's very popular now, the lighter coloured oak. Yeah, so to go through the method again, we select the timber. We would then process it, so we would cut it down to the thickness that we want. We usually looking in terms of the thickness that we have for our love spoons between 1 centimetre to 1.5 centimetres. So that's, what's that, half an inch up to sort of 3/4 of an inch would be the average thickness for a love spoon. We then mark the design onto the wood. So when we're checking the wood, we check it for any splits, twists, warping, those sorts of things. And then once we're happy with the sort of location, the place that we're going to mark our spoon on, as you can see, we've stuck the design onto the wood itself. We then router the bowl to take the bulk of the wood away. It reduces a lot of the pushing then that we have to do when it comes to the bowl. But afterwards, we then hand carve the bowl just to take away. It's to tidy it up because you can get a little bit of the finish on the wood itself. It's not always ideal. And by just going over it afterwards, tidies it up. Basically, to explain what happens, when the router goes against the grain, it tends to scuff and burn, depending on how sharp your cutter is. And so when we have done that afterwards, we carve it all back out and then hand sand it all back out. After that then, we do drill holes. So all of these, we drill a hole in all of those, and then we are on to the scroll saw, and we do all of our pierce work. So all of those internal cuts we cut out on our Hegner scroll saw. We've got a video coming up soon showing how on the one project I managed to go and break it. It's done a good job for us. It's 20 years it's lasted before I've managed to break it. But the good thing, because we use a Hegner scroll saw, basically all you do, if you have anything go wrong on their scroll saws, you just ring them up and buy a replacement part. So you can replace anything on those scroll saws. So it's working again because we've replaced the part that I managed to break. It came down to it. I think it's general wear and tear over the last 20 years was one reason that I managed to break it. And then also, I think just over time, I was cutting a thicker piece of wood with a stronger blade, and I think it just finished off because I've noticed since we replaced the part, it's cutting a lot more nicely. There's just a little line of burn just in by there. That sometimes happens. You catch the back of the blade and that can just cause it to just burn a little bit. So we've just taken that out. And then we're just shaping these legs. That's what I've been doing as I've been talking. We're getting a lot of the shape on the body, and we're constantly working to get the depth on the carving. So for instance, I want to drop this tail further down. Just trying to get a little bit of separation between the main body and the legs and the tail, that sort of thing. So we just keep shaping it as we're going. In terms of what's going on at the workshop, in line with all these rules, we're still closed at the moment to visitors, but we're still busy. We're still doing bespoke spoons like this one here. Just noticed that somebody asked us a question. Have you ever had the opportunity to carve sour wood? Well, that's a new one. No, I haven't had any of. We haven't had any of that through here. No, you will have to. If you have, you'll have to let us know. I haven't even heard of that. Have you heard of that one before, Dad? Have you heard of sour wood before? Sour wood.
Sour wood.
You heard of that before?
No.
There we go. That's a new one. There we go. Well, good to have you with us. Thank you for joining us. No, we haven't carved that one before. We have carved quite a wide variety of timbers, but that's a new one. You'll have to let us know. How does that carve? Does it carve nicely? Be interested to know. The only other thing I can think of as well, would it be something that we would refer to as something else, possibly. So you can see we're just working on our different levels. So we're just dropping the levels down. This one here, because of the direction of the grain, that is where we have to be going very delicately, very quietly on that one there, because that is the most likely bit that we could break. So we're going to go very delicately at that one there. Oh, let's have a little look. I'm intrigued, huh? It's wonderful for spoon carving. Hello there. Yeah, no, nice to have you with us. No, I am not familiar with that one. No, that's a new one. We have carved all sorts of different woods over the years, but no, I'm not familiar with that one. What's the grain like? Is it a darker wood, a lighter wood? Yeah, basically when it comes to the woods, we've used all sorts of different things, from sort of fruit woods and things like the sycamore, the ash, oak, teak, laburnum, yew, juniper, olive wood, irocos, idigbos, that sort of thing, aphromosia, the different walnuts, things like the African walnut, the black walnut, purple heart. But I am not familiar with that one. That is a new one. Let's have a look. Quite intriguing, huh? I was looking through my references and it seems to be specific to the eastern... Ah, right. So it sounds that if it might be a regional wood. One nice one we were given years ago that not many... you do a search on that one for us, Dick? Sourwood. S-O-U-R? S-O-U-R. I'm intrigued now. I want to find out about this one. Yeah, one we used years ago, Hewn Pine. Don't know if anybody else is familiar with that one. That carved beautifully. It's light wood with an apple wood coloured heart. Wow, that sounds amazing.
Where did I put my iPad, Dave?
Over there.
Oh,
yeah, Hewn Pine. That was one we carved years ago, and it's what used to happen. We used to have a lot of groups in from. They were sort of combined groups from Australia, New Zealand. Ah, there we are. Look at that on cue. Thomas the Woodcarver's handing me a little piece. There's a piece of Hewn Pine, and this was sent to us from Tasmania. And that is beautiful stuff. It's incredible because if you look at it, it just looks like a relatively straightforward piece of pine. It's only when you look on the side and you see all of those growth lines, how tightly packed together they are, that you realise that there is something different about it. And it carves beautifully. Oh, we're intrigued now. We're having a look to see if we can find out about it. That'll be... it's another one we'll have to add to the list. I always love working in different woods and trying all sorts of different woods. It very much, it's one of those things that does keep the job interesting, is having...
Sourwood tree. Ah.
Here we are, he's found the tree.
Sourwood tree.
I wonder where the name comes from. This is the fascinating thing about working with wood.
Ah.
As you would all know, there's so many different things too.
Or sorrel.
Right.
Tree is the sole species, I can't say this word, in the genus Oxydendron.
Right.
In the family Ericaceae. It is a native to eastern North America.
As they were saying.
From southern Pennsylvania, south to northwest Florida, and west to southern
Tommy's put the same as you. Wow.
It is most common in the lower chain of the how do you pronounce that word?
Well, this is
Appalachian Mountains.
Right. There we are. Wow. As I said, this is
Ericaceae.
Sounds right.
Where's the word Ericaceae? What do we? Oh, we use it for compost. Ericaceae compost. That's where.
There we are. Well, this is the fascinating thing with working with wood, is there's so many different woods out there. There's so many different aspects to it, and it's always fascinating learning about different ones, trying different ones. Because just with the oak itself, the American oak and the European oak.
The sourwood grows
very
to
different.
a height of 25 to 30 feet and a spread of around 20 feet at maturity.
Wow.
Oh, there we are. Very interesting too.
Yeah, it is. I'll ask Dad this, and I'll ask everybody else. What's the most unusual wood you've ever carved?
Most unusual. Oh dear me.
I would say for me it would probably be the Huon pine. You carved some lignum. That's pretty unusual, isn't it?
Yeah. Greenheart.
Yeah.
I had a few. I can't remember. We had a few from.
We've had some woods. We still haven't got Yandles.
Yeah.
We got some woods
Yandles
as well. We've carved over the years.
It's
we
a
haven't
timber place in west of England, and they do a lot of exotic type timbers there.
One I'd probably say this Rapolo lace wood.
Yeah, stuff like that. It's,
I think I've said that right. That was one we had from them. We had the Purple Heart from them.
Yeah.
Ones we've had as well, because of our links through my wife in Spain, we've had some things like some lemon. And I've got to say that one I love working in is the juniper. That's a fantastic wood.
Yeah.
That really does. You said it right. Good. Yeah. So it's always great fun trying the different woods, and they're all sort of different. Another wood that we were just given a little sample of is ebony, and that's unusual, isn't it? Because
but I think what you must also bear in mind, when we're talking about different timbers and how they work.
Okay.
We got to remember that from
each individual piece is different, isn't it?
One part of the tree,
they carve differently.
Working on the sapwood as opposed to the heartwood.
That's right.
So it does make quite a difference. The other thing, of course, the consideration is the way that it's cut.
Yeah.
If it's sawn, what I prefer some timber to be cut tangentially.
Well, I think Carver here. I think they've started us on a fascinating topic actually, because when it comes to wood, there's so many factors, aren't there? Yeah. Because the project that you're working on, that has an influence on how it carves. So, for instance, now I see a lot of people, and they're doing different carving and things like that. And oak, I don't know, oak in some ways seems to be a little bit Marmite. We call it Marmite, Vegemite if you're in Australia. It basically, the idea is with Marmite, you either like it or you dislike it. And I think oak has a similar effect on carvers then. It seems to polarize people, divide people, where you'll either like it or you won't. I don't, and you basically either love it or you don't like it at all.
Another thing as well, a common thing people say is that, it's a bad workman that blames his tools, right?
Yeah.
And we accept that, but if somebody's starting off carving, if they're new to it,
certain woods can be more challenging at the start.
Certain woods can really put you off.
Yeah.
So I mean that's why people go for lime.
Yeah, basswood.
Generally,
if you're in the US,
it's a pretty uniform type of timber. But
I think as well, I don't know. It'd be fascinating to know what everybody thinks. I'll just check I haven't missed any comments there. Dogwoods. Well, that's another unusual one.
Yeah, I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dogwood.
Yeah. That's a different one again. Yeah, I think another thing that can happen as well, are woods that you start off using and find challenging as you improve your ability. Yeah. Sometimes going back to those woods, you'll actually find that they carve really nicely.
Well, if I gotta go back to that though, Dave. Anybody out there starting off?
Yeah.
Okay, don't be put off by the first few attempts.
That's right.
Because it may be that you haven't found, number one, the right timber for yourself.
Yeah.
And the other thing as well, it may be that you haven't found the right kind of carving for yourself.
That's right.
So don't be put off with
I think it's very much. I don't want to put anybody off by saying this, but I think you have to be carving for quite a little while before you can really sort of draw any conclusions, isn't it? You know,
Yeah,
I think personally,
yeah.
and I don't want to put anybody off by saying that, I think you can be talking, well, I'll qualify what I'm going to say. You can produce some beautiful carvings within a matter of hours and days of starting to learn. Yeah. However, I don't think you should be drawing any conclusions about carving until you've been carving for a number of years, basically. Yeah. Because, you know, I mean...
And there's always something to learn.
There is always something to learn.
For instance, I'm going to put this ash spoon, part of it, in front of you for people to see. Okay, I've rubbed it down, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of dark streak in there.
Yeah.
And of course, it's the sandpaper that I've been using.
It is indeed, yeah.
Normally you wouldn't see this if it was a darker piece of wood. But
you get away with it.
Quite frustrating that I have to rub this down now.
Yeah, so sometimes you have things like that. So you're trying to get all of those marks away. Yeah, I was having fun. I was having fun with that piece of wood the other day.
Yeah, it's just for anybody wondering, it's ash. It's almost white, cream in colour. So
if you were sanding a piece of mahogany or a piece of teak, those lines, they wouldn't be showing up. But so because it's so pale.
What we'll do now, we will avoid this particular design because it's causing us a problem. That's right. Ash is causing me a problem.
Well, we won't avoid the design. It's the combination of the wood and the design.
We'll avoid using ash for this design.
That's right.
And what I'm going to do. Do you know where my metal scrape is, Dave?
I have no idea. So that's another method that Dad uses sometimes. He's got a scraper, and you can scrape that. You can use that as opposed to using sandpapers. He uses the scraper just to scrape that bluish tint away. Now these pieces here, as you can see, very delicate again. So we're just going quietly over that because ideally, it's not going to be the end of the world if we did have one of them damaged, but ideally we want to keep all of them intact and we don't want to lose any of them. So I'm just going delicately over them all. Again, giving a rounded off finish, a little bit of depth and detail to our carving. So we just slowly just dropping that depth down on our unicorn, and then once we've done the unicorn, we're on to the other parts of the design, and for us then the other parts are a lot more sort of familiar. One thing I noticed as well, there's a few little lines, so I'm going to angle the horn on the unicorn, just going to angle it over, and then we're going to put a few little lines. Have you found your scraper?
Unfortunately, no.
No. I think we find more time looking for stuff than using it half the time. There we go. So we've got 1, 2, 3 little lines on there. I am now looking for a spike, which I've managed to find, and that'll just be for the nose, just for the side, the nostril. And I'm much happier with our smiling unicorn as opposed to a frowning unicorn. Definitely looks more positive, more friendly and more happy. So let's just take a little bit more depth, a little bit more, just dropping it all down. And it's always nice just to see that grain, the character of the wood coming through. Yeah, I think, you know, the process of learning wood carving, that is something where drawing conclusions and things too soon, because I certainly had woods that when I first started carving, I would have problems working with them. Later on then, they carve absolutely fine. Are there certain spoon designs where you prefer leaving subtle tool marks rather than being completely smooth?
Occasionally, yes. And I think this is going to be the case for this particular spoon. It's going to be left what I call off the chisel.
what I would say is more than sorry, I'm misunderstanding slightly. Yeah, what I was going to explain was that certain designs that we've done, a rugged finish fits with the design, and we also leave different finishes for different things. So let me try and explain. Some people, as you're saying, some people prefer the finish just off the gouge, off the chisel, and we offer them, because we have quite a few people coming through our workshop under normal circumstances, we cater for all tastes and all different ideas. So some spoons we would leave off the gouge, off the chisel, and then others we would smooth over. Most of the spoons we do, we would leave a smooth finish. But I would say that's more to do with our own individual style. I would say yourself then, you leave more off the gouge than myself.
Can I change the focus a minute?
What's that?
Okay. Well, I've got this problem with this particular spoon.
Here we are.
And so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to show everybody, okay?
Yeah, put it back in.
I've got this black in there, all right? Now, I think it was the sandpaper, and you can see my hands as well have got black on it, right? So,
just to show everyone, I think this is where the problem came from, is we use our old belt sanders to get more life out of them. We use them for hand sanding.
Yeah.
Cut them up.
And even on the side of this, there's can you see that's gone there as well?
I think that's in the woods.
Yeah, but what I'm going to do now,
I think that's in the grain.
Yeah, I'm going to wash my hands now, because I may be making the problem worse. So I'm going to make sure I get my hands.
So Thomas the woodcarver's gone off to wash his hands. The part of what he was showing, I personally thought that it was probably in the grain of the wood, because you do get that in ash. You can get that little bit of colour in it. Now then, so what we're doing here, I'm just going to go around this. What it is, we want a little bit of separation between the mane and the actual head and body, but not too much.
That's an interesting one, Dave, because I mean, years ago, and there is still a debate today as to whether you should use sandpaper or whether it should be left
Well, this
off
the thing is, and that's what I was explaining, was or trying to explain. I think you explained it better than me. It's a subjective thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so that sort of finish, generally speaking, we leave them where we do sand them as well. But sometimes you do wonder, are we just making work for ourselves? And it's a bit unnecessary. So let's just drop the rest of that down, like so.
If I can come there now in the vice.
Okay, there we are.
I'm going to change now.
I'm going to go and do some sanding on that one there. Dad's going to demonstrate what he's been explaining here.
Now, this doesn't happen with this. This is not exactly often. I haven't come across this problem for a very long time. So the colouring there, Dave, can you see where the problem lies?
Yeah.
So I'm going to use now a chisel, or a gouge rather, a very slight curve on it. What I'm after is getting rid of that bluey grey colour which has gone right into the grain. If I start there, you can see, can you see that disappearing now, Dave?
Yeah. Hopefully that's coming across on the camera as well.
It's gone right. It doesn't matter how clever you think you are. This is 50 years of experience, and I'm still getting it wrong. So here we go. We're now getting rid. Look at that, Dave. Can you see now the cream is coming? The black is disappearing.
So in this case, and it's interesting because I think I've just picked up on a point here by the carver again. saying about it's subjective, and yeah, they were saying it's cleaning up nicely. They just said.
Good.
So in this example, doing what you were saying, we would agree with you in this one that this particular Lovespoon is going to be far better left off the tool,
definitely,
as opposed to being sanded.
Yeah.
So for instance, I think sort of the conclusion with this is that when it's like woods like mahogany and teak, we'd have got away with it in those woods.
Yeah.
You'd have got away with it in things like the juniper, and you'd have got away with it in oak. But because this wood is so light, you haven't got away with it. It's the same line, basswood.
Yeah.
If you ever put stain on basswood, which I've seen people doing,
I've got the mark just there, so I need to turn it around to get rid of it. There now. The only question in my mind now is that, of course, this must still be happening when we're using a darker wood.
Yeah, so it's just because it's darker.
But it doesn't show it, of course.
It doesn't show.
So it's pushing.
You get away with it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see it then on a lighter coloured wood.
We used to use a different abrasive, different sandpaper. Whereas this one, the colouring, yeah, it gives us a beautiful finish, smooth wise, but it unfortunately pushes the colour of the fine sandpaper. It's actually pushing it into the grain.
Quite and you can often see as well, what I find that I do have to do, and if you're wondering, I've just come over the other side of the bench to carry on carving. Quite often, what I end up doing is using a different type of abrasive after that one, because I find that you do get little marks, for instance, in the oak. And another problem that I get, my hands absorb the oil from the gouges.
Yeah.
And so my hands get a lot more dirty.
Well, there we are, Dave. You can see now, Dave, I've managed to clear that there. But I'm gonna have to go over the whole job. I will turn it on its side just to see if we can remove that bit. I hope I'm still on camera there.
But it's a good example for how, how things can get. Oh, yeah. We've got Paul Russell. Hello there. Hello, everyone. We've got Richard and Paul have joined us. Thanks for joining us. I was told that it is not how well you carve, but rather how well you... That's a good one. I 100% agree with that. I've been doing videos on that. They said they were told it's not how well you carve, it's how well you can cover up your mistakes.
That's good. Well, this is what we're trying to do now. Yeah.
Spot on.
Yeah, this is something now. So
yeah,
they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, I'm learning here.
You're learning all the time. You're learning something new all the time. Yeah, we've been doing. I was doing a project recently, and exactly that. I've actually done 2 videos. One shows the products being made, but I thought, I've had so many problems. As I mentioned earlier, I even broke my scroll saw. And I thought, I can't leave that go
there's a really...
and not share it with everyone.
What I would call a dirty bit there, look. Look, that's
See,
quite...
I think that is a little bit in the grain.
Yeah, that's in the grain, but there's a real dirty bit there, which I hope I can take that out for people to see. So...
While Dad's showing you that, I'm going to put... where's the shellac? I'm going to put a coat of shellac on the unicorn.
Look, you can see that now, Dave, the difference.
Do you know where the shellac is?
Yeah, it's in... Isn't it in by the... where I do the shellacking. It's all gone quiet now because Dave's disappeared for the shellac.
Okay, I got the shellac, I got the brush.
I'm probably hiding what I'm doing actually. Is it actually on the camera there?
Yeah, no, you can see it quite nicely.
You can see it, look, you can see now how it's much more white and creamy there, and we're getting rid of that black. So there we are. I'm going to have to go over all of this now. And, the dilemma is, when you're talking about, if it's a, there's going to be a clock in this one. So let's say, for argument's sake, you were selling that at £50, right? Well, I've had to go over the whole shooting match now twice. So your profit, in a sense, is being affected, isn't it? That's the situation. Okay.
And that's what happens. All that time that we're spending.
We can go back to.
We're back on the unicorn. All the time then that we're spending on that, yeah, you're basically by the time we've sorted that spoon out properly, we'll have been losing money on it.
It's not so bad, but when it's commercial and we are doing it to a price,
yeah, so we'll be losing on that.
But saying that,
it's also good.
Keep your standard. You can't
exactly.
let it go.
Yeah, and that is something because we are doing it and commercially, you have to keep that level. It's also as well worth, for everybody to see. It's good for you all to see how, it doesn't always go right.
And
you do get issues.
My mind is also going now to the next stage.
Yeah.
You're shellacking that to show everybody how it's coming up.
Yeah.
I'm going to shellac this one, right? Fortunately, I have given it a coat of shellac, but I'm going to have to give it another coat of shellac. Is that going to raise the grain again?
Yeah.
So if it does, I can't rub it down with that sandpaper.
Yeah.
I've got to find the
an alternative.
The old English sandpaper.
Yeah.
Got to find some of that. I can't use it's
the one you got there is that's Hermes.
Yeah, it's the sandpaper.
From the belts.
Fine bits that's being pushed. Well, no, this is the flower paper that I'm using.
Oh, so that's the Hermes one.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
See,
that's the one causing you a problem.
You can show the colour.
Oh, there we are. Wow. That's got to be something as well. That I would say with it on that particular one there. That's something to do with the wood as well, because reason I say it, I know it's being caused by the sandpaper, but it was happening on the different types as well. Do you have the option of a lighter coloured sandpaper? There we are. Well, you can see how light it is. There you go. Lighter sandpaper for the lighter wood. That's what Dad's having the problem with. There we are, and you can see how light that one is. Because we were having the same problem with this one. But if it's having the same problem with that one there as well.
Because of the nature of wood, the fibres, the pores, we're just forcing the grains of sand or glass, whatever it is.
That grit is going into the pores.
Into those pores.
Causing more and more trouble.
In the colour.
So now we go on from, there you go. So if you didn't see, that's our unicorn. I've done a bit of sanding on there and we just done a coat of shellac just to see how that comes up. So that's well on its way. And now we go on to working on the different elements of the carving itself. So we got these entwined hearts. That's the next part of the process that we'll concentrate on. I probably, this afternoon, I'm not sure I get a chance to complete this Lovespoon, but we'll get as far as we can during the live stream. Yeah, so we're just going to drop these down a little bit of depth on the initials, and then we'll show you how we do our entwined hearts. So you can see them ready marked out. Also good for everyone to see the job there that Dad is doing, because now, that's why we want the clocks. That's something that we've done at different times. We want the clock movements to do a few clock Lovespoons, but also we've got probably about 5 or 6 different designs of clocks and barometers and things that we do over the years. Having spoken to the company on the phone, have you managed to order us anything?
Oh yeah, really pleased I am that they're...
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
I will let everybody know.
Have you managed to get hold of a barometer movement or just clocks at the moment?
They don't do the barometer movement, so I've got to go back to...
Our search goes on.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to be successful, because I think what's happened since I've been doing the barometers, I've stopped doing them.
Price.
I think the price
of
the movement
for anything quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be, you used to be able to get a quality movement for a reasonable price, but very difficult to do now. What kind of shellac do we use? Good question. Nice. Thank you for joining us.
If you go and get the container, you can show them.
Do you want to grab the
container?
See, we use
Lay the old one out first.
we use the Fiddy's shellac, and the process that we use, we've adapted. I mean, again, we adapt as we're going along. And the most recent one, we've always for a long time been using 3 coats of shellac sanding sealer and then rub it down in between each coat. What we've been doing is adding an extra finish recently.
There it is.
There we are. That's our Fiddy's.
I was going to say, mind you don't tip it up the other way and put the top on
no worries.
place.
That's our Fiddy's shellac. There we are. We got the Fiddy's factory up in Cardiff, and they make the shellac sanding sealer that we use. Yeah, we've changed our process of finishing slightly. So we still do 3 coats of shellac, but we also do a finishing coat of beeswax mixed with linseed oil, and that's what we've been doing more recently. And it just brings it up to a finer finish, makes it a little bit nicer to the touch, isn't it? And
yeah.
But it's nice. The nice thing with the Fiddy's shellac, it's a matte finish, so it's not a high gloss. So it gives you a more natural looking finish. So you know, the things like the varnishes and stuff like that can be quite a high gloss. As with the Fiddy's shellac, it just looks a little bit more natural. And we have tried other shellacs over the years. We've tried all sorts. Some Danish oils, yeah, hard waxes. That's another thing that different people ask and mention, and it is fascinating. There are so many different ways for finishing. And recently, there was an oil that somebody was using. I had a look at out of interest. This is a piece of equipment as well that I heard somebody mention. And I'll ask Dad now if he's heard of it before. There was a question was asked. Somebody was on a wood carving group, and they were asking whether or not to get a scroll saw or a bandsaw, because they're looking to do a little bit more, and they were asking people. It was very interesting because the comments that were all put on there, people were saying, "Oh, bandsaw," and I just put up a little bit about the scroll saw just to explain some of the advantages that the scroll saw has. But ultimately, the sort of thought that came to mind is it's a couple of things. Firstly, it is, again, a little bit subjective, and a lot of it depends if you need to do the pierce work, the internal cuts. But also, it pretty much comes down to what projects you're doing. And a very interesting comment that somebody did put on it, they were saying that Pegasus, have you come across this at all? They make a band scroll saw.
Oh, no, I haven't come across that.
There we are. So an interesting one. So basically, it's the design of a scroll saw. Well, I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list to go and have a little look. From what they were saying, it's sort of the design of a scroll saw. So it's probably a bit of a heavier duty scroll saw. But it can cut up to, I think they were saying up to like 6-inch thickness projects. So sort of an interesting one for, if somebody's doing sculptures, then that could be quite a useful, addition, couldn't it? So what we do with our spoons as well, we just do a little bit of beveling the edges. So we're just going round the outside, beveling the edges as we go. I'm just going to check. I haven't missed any comments. No. Any questions as well as we're going along about what we're doing and why? Get them into us, and hopefully we can explain. So we're just going round the outside there. The reason I've gone on to doing the bells as opposed to finishing off the hearts is because I sit down to carve. So the way it works here, Dad stands to carve, I sit to carve, and it means that I'm still carving away from myself. Once I've done all of the work in the one direction, cutting away from myself, I'll turn it around in the vise and I'll carve back the other way. You looking for something?
Yeah, I'm still looking for my scrape.
No, I'm not sure what... there's a scraper that, as we mentioned, that Thomas the Woodcarver uses, and he can't find it. I'm missing a gouge now.
Yeah, I just
we'll have to use. This is where we've got two of us on the, yeah, perfect. We've got two of us on the bench, so we both want the same tool, typical. Do you want to have a look there for me? Do I think there's a...
Paul Russell, I've been using the stroke saw for years. I just ordered an Fordham electric carver.
Oh wow. That's another one. What's an electric carver? I'm not familiar with that. Is that like the
I would guess it's something
is it like the what do they not the rotary tools, would it be something like that? Like the Dremel rotary tool, or is it these ones that I've seen where they basically have a carving bit and that does, yeah, let us know what is that one? It's be interesting to know. Because I know there are a few different systems that are available now. Because there's a lot of people started with the carving using the Dremels and things like that. But I also know there's like an electric carver where you put the carving bit then into what would you describe it as? It basically goes into a machine, doesn't it? And that does.
You've got the Dremel on, you've got that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's more the rotary carving tools. But there's another thing as well where you actually put a carving bit into a machine, and it, instead of doing the pushing, some of the pushing can be relieved a bit by the machine. Yeah, let us know. What is that one? Yeah, saying it's like a Dremel. Oh, brilliant.
Right.
Yeah, the rotary carving I've heard that referred to as, and that's really popular. But you can do some really nice sculptures and all sorts of things. Locally, our tree surgeon, he does as well the chainsaw carving, and he does things like bears and owls and things like that, and they can do some beautiful stuff with those. We have used tools like that in the past, but it's more on bigger projects, I would say we've used them, isn't it?
Yeah.
For the spoons.
The scraper is turned up now.
There we are. So Thomas the woodcarver is busy working away on trying to sort that spoon out. We're still making progress here.
If you're wondering what a scraper is, there it is.
There you go. Useful bit of kit for doing the bowls, that sort of thing. But again, subjective, because Dad likes working with it. I'm not so keen. So it's interesting how... Same with all the different tools. There's certain gouges.
The reason I'm using this on the bowl of the spoon is because I can't use that fine sandpaper.
Yeah.
It's pushing the grain of the sandpaper into the wood. So I'm using this.
But it's a tool that you would use anyway. It's a tool that over the years you have used anyway, isn't it? You do, and it does give you a nice finish. Did you say they used to use a piece of glass?
Yes, yeah. Well, they use glass more for, I use it more for if you had varnish on a piece of timber and you wanted to scrape it off, like, you used to scrape the paint off with a bit of glass.
So now we turn it round in the vise, because we've done all of our work as far as we can, working in the one direction. And then we're going to start working back the other way. So with the making of the spoons then, with the Lovespoons, the way we do it, the first part of the process is designing, and that in some ways, it can be the most time consuming part of the process. And the reason that it takes us time to design, got that gouge again, I don't know, brilliant, thanks. The reason it takes us time with the designing is because you have to get that design right. If you rush your designing, and if you don't spend quite a bit of time thinking it through, you can end up with problems later on when it comes to your hand carving. So that's what we just try to work out, is to eliminate as many of the problems as you can see. You try to get rid of those before you start. So using this Lovespoon then as an example, the process we would go through to design it, you start thinking, where do symbols naturally go? So bells, for instance, we usually prefer at the top of our spoon. The dragon, I always think you have a little bit more flexibility, because dragons, they can fly, can't they? But they also, like on the Welsh flag, they're on the ground. So I always think you've got a bit more flexibility. And we sort of think through things like that, where if we have, say, for instance, fish and birds in the design, usually we will put the birds higher in the design and the animals lower in the design. So it's not an exact science, but it's just we try to make the design make sense.
Yeah,
is that the right thing?
An interesting one is when parents come in for a love spoon for their son or daughter that's getting married.
Yes.
And we ask them, would you like initials on the hearts? Oh, yes, please. And then we say, which initial do you want to go first?
And they usually go for their child, don't they?
Well, no, in fairness, they stop and they think, but sometimes, you know, you can tell. I say, if it's the daughter that's getting, if it's the daughter of the parents, then I suggest we put the man first. I know that sounds a little bit strange, but you're putting. Our suggestion is
to put the in-laws on first, but it can be quite. With what we do, actually, it's very interesting to give you an insight. It can give us an interesting insight into the nature of lots of relationships.
Yeah.
Because you'll have situations where it's very important to people that the one person is included first on the love spoon, that sort of thing. And then some people will say that, ladies first. Yeah. Others will say, that in a particular culture you have to put the man's initial first.
That's right.
It's very, very interesting, the insight that we have then to different relationships, different cultures and things like that comes through from a simple thing like personalising a love spoon. So you can see we're just beveling that edge as we go. So we just bevel on the one side, and then on the other side we try and match it up as best we can. Always remembering with this, it's hand carved, so the idea of hand carving, we don't want everything identical. We don't want all of our spoons to look exactly the same. Although years ago I had a lady came in and she was convinced they were all made on a machine. And I said, how do you figure that out? She said, because all of your flowers are slightly off to the left. And I said, well, I'm terribly sorry to correct you on it, but that's just because my eye is ever so slightly off to the left. But she was convinced, even when I told her that it's just because my eye is off to the left, she was still convinced that they'd all been done on a machine, because she said they're all slightly off. And I thought, well, that's the carver, I'm afraid, is slightly off. not a machine, the carver. But that's the beauty of hand carving, is that, it's the imperfections. It's got us into trouble at different times. For instance, we used to do the incumbent boards, the church boards, that sort of thing, and that can be challenging because a lot of those were done on machines, and then when we're being asked to add a new name, we then have to try and carve it as accurately as the machine has done it. So you used to use a method, didn't you, where you would trace the letters, and then you'd work out all of the angles to try and get it as perfect as possible. But not a job that we particularly enjoyed over the years, was it? Very,
not really, no.
Very challenging and time consuming. Another thing as well then that we notice a lot of is designing, because we were talking about designing and where to get templates, how to go about doing templates. Somebody was asking, for instance, where to get text templates from. Quickest, easiest one is whatever office package that you work with, or if you work with anything like Photoshop, Corel or anything like that, or you've got Microsoft Office, even LibreOffice. Yeah, go on those, and you literally just put your text on, print it out, and you can stick it on. So any text that you're doing, you can use your computer software, print it all out, and use that then as a template and a guideline. We're offering more and more designs as we're going along. I forgot to mention that. Very, very nice. Somebody took one of our templates. They put a picture up on one of the forums that they'd had to go making one of our Easter projects. So that was nice to see. That's why we've done them, is for everybody to be able to use them. And the other thing then you can do, see, you can get all sorts of different images and then develop your designs, your ideas.
I wonder, can I get this story right now if I tell everybody?
Okie doke.
Because Mum, of course, used to teach.
Yeah.
And one particular, she was teaching a group of children, junior school children, and she was teaching, remember, about the Easter time?
Right.
And she was saying about
is this
your rabbit?
So can I? We'll stop you there.
You tell it better than me.
No. I can't remember this one. This is Thomas the Woodcarver's Easter story. Take it away.
Yeah.
That's a build. I've given you a build up now.
Oh no! I'm gonna get Mum to get the story. Yeah.
I think. Hang on. Let me help you out. I think the story was. Sorry, Miss. Can you tell us the story about Francis, the Easter Bunny, and Francis? Was it Francis of Assisi?
I'll get Mum to get the story right.
There we are. I think when she was, it was along those lines. She'll get it right. Tell us the story. I think it was of Francis of Assisi and the Easter Bunny. Right. So as you can see, we've got most of the work done on the hearts, the entwined hearts. I think he's run off with the gouge I need, so we'll have to improvise with a different one. We'll improvise with this one here. Nice marbles one, this one. He's run off with my vintage Herring Brothers gouge. So just a little bit of carving on there. And all the time, it's lovely to see that grain coming through. Same again. Just cutting away. Just to shape it. Beveling those edges. And in terms of the carving, what we were talking about earlier, most of the carving we leave off the gouge.
Yeah, it was Benedict.
Benedict, tell us the story of.
Can you tell us, Miss, the story
of Benedict and the Easter Bunny?
And the Easter Bunny.
And what it was is that they wanted to know where's our rabbit.
Yeah.
But it was the abbot, not the rabbit. But they thought it was the story of the Easter Bunny. They asked Benedict, what was it? Where's the abbot? Didn't it?
Can you tell us the story of the Easter Bunny?
So there we are. That's Thomas the Woodcarver's Easter.
Yeah.
Thomas the Woodcarver's Easter tale.
Yeah.
So we're just going to finish off just a little bit. This piece at the top, back where we were talking about the design. This is the piece then at the top that we use for hanging the Lovespoon on. So we shape it again. But that's the sort of thing when you're designing and making Lovespoons, you're thinking of simple little practical things. Where should the different symbols fit into the design? How are you going to hang the Lovespoon? All sorts of things like that. That's the process that we go through. And when we're demonstrating this, this is one part of the process, the actual hand carving. There's quite a few other stages. We've explained some of them, from the designing to selecting the wood. You've got the hand finishing afterwards, the scroll sawing, and that's what we find works well for us then, is starting our process off, getting that basic profile with the scroll saw.
Will you come and be our rabbit?
Will you come and be our rabbit?
Will you come and be our rabbit?
There we are, that's it. That was the Easter story. The people spoke to Benedict, and what they'd actually asked him was, will you be our abbot? But the children heard the story and thought that the people asked Benedict, will you come and be our rabbit? So that's where the children in Mum's school thought the Easter Bunny came from. Is it Saint Benedict?
I think so, yeah.
They thought Saint Benedict was the original Easter rabbit. So there we go. Right, so you can see we're just about finished on that piece at the top. How are you getting along there, Thomas the Woodcarver? Are you getting all of the...
Just about...
Do you want to give everybody an update on how the...
A little tiny bit on the side there.
Now another thing as well comes down to basically subjective, is we're just going to bevel the edge. I do a lot of that, just taking that sharp edge off. At the start of this demonstration as well, I was talking about the carving the back of the spoon. I'll just check. I think you've got a comment there. So hello from Washington State. Hello, Donald. Thank you for joining us. Bit more talk than a Dremel saying as well. So yeah, good. Yeah, we're talking about carving the back of spoons because this is something we get asked about a lot. Yes, we do carve the back, and on a bespoke spoon like this, what we do, we take off all the sharp edges, that sort of thing. We don't do as much carving on the back of the Lovespoon as the front, which is something people ask us about, depending on the spoon, because it's basically to carve it, to do all of this carving on the back as well as the front, you're doubling the cost involved in making the Lovespoon, so you're doubling the price that it's going to cost the customer, and most people wouldn't want that. When it comes to Lovespoons though, there's no rules or regs, so if you're doing it as a hobby, then yeah, if you want to carve the back of the spoon, go for it. Thing to remember, most Lovespoons are hung on the wall, but we've got Lovespoons, what's a good example? That one there? I think that one there will do it, yeah. So for instance, this one here, you can see it's carved on all four sides. So that's the nice thing with the Lovespoon, no rules or regs. Carve the front and back if you want to, but for ourselves, because we're doing it as our day job then, and we're doing it commercially, you're carving the back of the spoon doubles the costs involved in making it. So what I've done, the reason I put it back in, I had a little chunk more out of there than on the other side, so I've just evened that up a little bit. And right, let's try and finish off some of these symbols. So we're just going to carve the top of the hearts, the entwined hearts. And the nice thing with doing Lovespoons again, there are no rules or regulations. So that's why we include quite a wide variety of symbols. And you've got that freedom. So you can express through your spoon. It's great because you're telling people's story through the Lovespoon itself. So that's how we can make it very personal to the individuals or couple that have asked for the spoon to be made. So with the bell, we're just going to shape along the top, just like so. And those I would also then sand them. But hopefully we don't have as many problems as Thomas the Woodcarver's been having with that spoon over there. How can I get this from the beginning? Right, working smarter, yeah, that's it. I have never seen you sharpen your tools. Yeah, we sharpen tools. We've done a couple of demonstrations. Yeah, the way you get it from the, if you want to see the live stream from the beginning, so that's the main focus so far, the live stream has been that unicorn. What happens, this will go, how does it work? You should be able to rewind it back to the start. If it doesn't let you do that, what you can do is that YouTube will process this video, so it isn't available overnight whilst they're processing it, and then once it's processed in a day or two's time, you'll be able to get the whole thing. Just go on to our channel and look for live streams, and it'll be the latest one on there,
There's the slipstone there for somebody asking how do we sharpen it, okay?
Yeah.
We can use a slipstone like that.
Do you want to do a quick little demo for us? We do. I tell you what we do. Dad will do a quick demo at the end of this.
Okay.
You got a gouge there? Yeah, that's him. Yeah, Dad will do a quick demo for everyone again to see how we sharpen. Our main system of sharpening is using a Tormek, and again you'll find a video of that on the YouTube channel. But what I'll do, I'll get Dad to do a demo at the end for how we would sharpen quickly. What we do last week, for instance, we ended up where Dad had he did a bit of a sharpening stint for us in the live stream. But we'll do a quick demo for you all at the end of this. So we're just shaping those bells just a little bit, and I will sand them and decorate them. And hopefully that's the idea, is to share our process, to share what we do, share the methods. Hopefully some of the ideas are useful and they help out. So sanding then in the direction of the grain. But this, as we were talking about earlier, this is subjective. I like to sand the bells just to finish them off. But if you prefer to leave them off the gouge, off the chisel, show you as well how it marks. That's the state of my thumb now. So that's the sandpaper doing that. And the problem with that then is that you've got to be careful that it doesn't come out on the wood and result in Thomas the wood carver having to spend 2 hours getting it out of the wood. So it's the same, just sanding a little bit at the top and then onto a finer finishing sandpaper. Trying as much as you can sand in the direction of the grain, so we're not putting little scratches into the work that we're doing. 2 seconds. Hi folks, glad I could catch my line. Thanks for joining us. You can just Tommy just said you can just rewind it. Yeah, spot on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can, as Tommy said, you can rewind the live stream and watch it from the start.
Right, can I pop this in that voice just to show some the scrape I was talking about?
Yeah. Here we are.
Now you see, you're using the same sandpaper on the oak, but it's not having the same effect as it is on this one.
That's right.
So
I'll just do a little bit there, and I will take my spoon, pick up my gouge that I've got, and Thomas the woodcarver will explain what he's doing there with the scraper.
Yeah. Can you see that one there, Dave?
So
is that showing okay?
There.
Yeah. So we got there. You can just see a little bit of the dust now. I scraped the dust away from there, and the same.
Oh, fantastic! I just noticed that the carvers sent us a message through to our Instagram for the sourwood. Yeah, we'd love to have a go. Fantastic! Thank you for that. That's brilliant.
What I'm doing now, I'm taking away that bluey black dirty colour. I'm scraping it away. I blow the dust. There it goes. So you can see.
So another method then that you could consider is a scraper like that. And what is that scraper? What was it made from? And
it was bought as a scraper, and I've shaped it all round to suit. It's just a very thin piece of metal. You can see it's quite whippy.
And then
but it's a very useful tool. Gets you out of a lot of trouble.
And you can sharpen it up again. You've sharpened it at different times on the tool method things, haven't you?
Yeah. But we just cannot use that sandpaper on this spoon again.
That's it.
There we are. That is in the colour of the wood, strangely enough. But that's got rid of most of those marks. And there's the spoon now, but it's going to just be finished. I'll scrape it now with the... Am I still on camera?
Yeah, you should be there.
Okay, so
That's it, the camera.
it'll be the spoon, David. I'm just scraping the spoon.
I'll check it here. No, you have to come through the forward. You're just about in shot, just about in.
Yeah, I can't. What there? Am I all right there?
Yeah, that should be fine. What's the wood we're using? Well, that one there is a piece of ash that Dad is working with, and I've been carving a piece of oak. So the reason we're demonstrating that ash is because we've been having a few problems with our sandpaper. That sandpaper.
It's just been filling the grain.
There you go. That's been coming out in the finish. So Dad's just demonstrated how he uses the scraper, and we're trying to clean that all up.
Without sandpaper.
Without the sandpaper, that's it. Tricky thing now is going to be finishing that one.
Yeah.
We're going to rub it down in between each coat. We're going to have to rub it down very lightly, aren't we?
No, I'll use the scrape and everything again. But obviously, it's making that now slightly uneconomical. But never mind.
There we are.
You can't win them all.
No, that's right. But it gets to a stage where you think, well, we've got to get it done now, and you've got to finish the job. You've got to see it through, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the main thing.
We're experimenting with this particular project, really.
That's right. Everything on that project is a bit of a learning curve, because it's the first clock that we've done in a little while. I'm just using a more coarse piece of sandpaper just to take off. Those marks are just where I haven't taken off the paper drawing. In fact, I'm going to carve those marks out. There we are. Get rid of them all together. Just carve it back out. Same on the other side. Just cleans it up. And the same, that one there. I know I'm carving towards myself, which I shouldn't be. But it just tidies it all. Tidies it up, because what I'm going to do to finish off, I'm just going to put a coat of shellac over the top part of this spoon for you all to see how that's come up and the progress on this particular bespoke love spoon. Now midweek, Wednesday as always, we'll be uploading another video. I'm thinking next Wednesday is after Easter, isn't it? We're after Easter next Wednesday, so it'll be I'm thinking it'll be a bit of an Easter. I know we did an Easter themed one. It'll be an Easter themed upload this week. So yeah, keep an eye out for that one there. I'm going to decorate these bells just to finish off. So that to finish them off, we just do a little bit of decoration. So we're going to do 4 little indents like so. And the same then on the other side. So we're trying to get it roughly lined up so it's nice and symmetrical. But again, as we said, it's hand carved, so you don't have to worry about that side of it too much, as long as it's roughly in the same area. There we go, just like so. That one there as well, you can use a mallet, but if you do use a mallet on that, you've always got to make sure you've got plenty of strength in your wood, because it's ever so slightly delicate. So that's why I tend to not use the mallet for that particular job. Same again this side, just take a little bit out of that stop cut just to decorate the bells. I remembered something I was going to say and I've forgotten it again. Just like so. There we are. And a little dab of shellac. We'll turn it all round for you to see. And that's the progress that we have made so far on that love spoon. I always love putting a bit of shellac on the spoons so you get to see that beautiful character and colour coming out in the grain.
You want me to sharpen that now, don't you?
We're going to finish off, yeah, we're just going to do a little demonstration. Whereabouts do you want to go?
I'll come round with there, David.
I'll move that one there out the way.
I need a spot of oil.
On the shelf in next door. And what I'll do, I'll reposition the camera and we'll show you how we sharpen using, here we go. So as Thomas the Woodcarver comes through the door, he'll demonstrate for us how we do some sharpening. While we're waiting, you can see, I'll just turn around the camera. This is our display room. So these are some of the different spoons that we have carved over the years. One for every year since 1969. Those are the spoons that we got. So is that what you're going to do
Which chisel do we want to sharpen now? What are the gouges, yeah?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that one there now on the camera. You can just see a slight, tiny little nick on the top there.
So if I just try and...
We just squeeze the oil till it comes up like so, and then just there
we go.
I'm drawing as it's drawing up to the surface like so.
So you're sharpening to the edge, because basically what you're doing, you're sharpening on the external angle, and what you want is a little burr on the inside. Once you've got that burr on the inside,
sharpening is there.
And it was the scientists explained to you, isn't it, that you want to, that a grinding wheel, for instance, a grinding wheel goes the wrong way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because the molecules are lining up in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
I wasn't very good at science, but I remember what the science teacher told me about something I was interested in. And so you sharpen then to the tip. So for instance, that's the difference between the tormek and a grinding wheel.
You rub your finger across going there, and I could just feel a little bit of a burr on the inside.
So you just build it up until you get that little burr on the inside.
Definitely. Yes, yeah, lovely burr. Now I'm going to turn it over flat on there. 1, 2, just 3 like that. And on my trousers. I don't recommend this to anybody because you see what happens. You rip your trousers, okay? But that's what, don't tell mum.
For those of you who want to use a similar method, you can buy a leather strop. So you can strop it using a leather strop. You don't have to rip your trousers like Thomas the Woodcarver does. But it's just stropping it on a piece of material. Just to polish up that metal. There we are.
There we are.
And that is how we sharpen the gouges. The other method then...
Very much experimenting.
We can demonstrate the other method again as well, where...
We'll do the tormek.
Where we do the tormek. So hopefully...
we'll do that again.
My impromptu having to come on and... There we are. You're on camera. So hopefully, yeah, it just gives you a little bit of an idea.
There we are.
If you haven't seen us sharpening before, that's the way we sharpen.
That's it.
There we are. If I just check, see if we've got any other questions. No, I think that's all of them.
That's good.
Yeah.
What does that go do? Back.
Just in front there. There we go. Thank you again for joining us. Hopefully that's useful. Any questions, any messages, anything you're interested with the videos. We mentioned about the doll's house. I've got Thomas the Woodcarver. He's working on it. He's working on that. So the idea when we do the doll's house, what I'm hoping he'll do is to get designs in with that. So, you know, for anybody who wants to have a go at making a doll's house, I want to try and get designs on the website. So we want to get all the designs together, we're getting materials together, and that'll be coming up on the channel as well soon.
Yeah, it's a nice design doll's house. It's nice. It was shown
Lady Diana.
Yeah, Lady Diana.
So we've
didn't buy it, but there we are.
We're looking over there because that's where the doll's house is. So we're going to make one of the ones we used to do. And we'll explain during that all about the scale system, because there's a whole scale thing with dolls' houses, and we'll probably do some other videos on the furniture, that sort of thing. But there we are. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget, we've got that other upload midweek, and we'll be back again all going well next week.
Take care.
Yeah, all the best.